Shalom, brother and sister truth seekers. So I think it was an interesting day. It's been an interesting couple days, but we had a couple more data sets come in from the 22nd and kind of taking a closer look at things from the 23rd. And I think there might be a consensus that the straight line and Equinox Sundial readings were seen on the 22nd. That's the preliminary summary. I'm going to wait to see if any final witnesses come in, trickling in a little later. But that's what it's looking like. We'll go through the data. Let me see here. Pictures. All right, so if you check the description below this video, there should be a link for a shared Dropbox folder. And you don't have to join Dropbox or anything. It should get you to this directory, and you'll see this spreadsheet. That's essentially what this spreadsheet is here. That should contain everyone's data from like all past equinox and solstice events that I've ever seen. So that should be up to date. And up at the top is where the most recent witnesses are. I think it's pretty straightforward. I might talk more about this and the Creators International Dateline possibly in a final summary video. Or I might mention it briefly now and then revisit the topic a little bit ahead of the March equinox to start making projections. But without further ado, let's go through the data. So you go to the 25th. We're looking at the 9th Gregorian month. And I think we want to look back at the 22nd because there were a couple more witnesses come in on the 22nd. I think Utah and Texas had their armillaries. Remnant of light. They thought they were seeing the equinox reading on the 22nd. So I'm not an armillary expert, but it is here I collect all the sundial data that I'm aware of here. So if any of these methods mean something to somebody, hopefully I'm trying to collect them all in one place so you can access them and compare them. I think we also had Prophecy Vine, and he has a video. If you check out that spreadsheet somewhere in here, and the spreadsheet goes by time zone, essentially starting like kind of on the right side of this map, New Zealand, and works its way across. So that's what you see here if you're looking for a specific person or location. So I know the folder that we were just looking at said Prophecy Vine was in Texas, so I found approximately where Texas is. Here he is. And he has a link here if you look in column I. Sometimes I'll throw a YouTube link if they have shared that with me. But if you look, I think I want to compare the two, his from yesterday and today, so you can see. So this was from yesterday, and it's this fat bar shadow. And you can see it's kind of not exactly bisected, but it's pretty close. And he said that was, well, it looked the closest to being bisected. We'll look at the 23rd real quick as a quick comparison. I'm just going to jump to the 23rd. Back to Central USA. Set this in today. We'll just switch between the two if we can. But there you can see now the whole bar is above the line. So it looks like if there was a day that would have been bisected, it looks like the 22nd was the closest. So what else happened today? South Africa. This was interesting. This went back and forth. Like, so for Wendy, she just did a fantastic job for the past week collecting data. Like, I think she had over 10 hours of data every day for a solid week. And I got confused when she sent this to me earlier today. I thought the black marks were for the 23rd, but actually the pink marks are. So when you look at the pink marks, and I dropped this line on here, if you look really close, it looks like some of these midday marks are on the opposite side of one. If you look at her data set from the 21st, you'll see they are a little bit above the line. And then if you look for the 22nd, they're pretty much all on the line except for this one outlier, this black one. She didn't pull it off the board from the other day, but like everything else looked like it was pretty much in a straight line. So that one just had me going back and forth because I miss somehow I got mixed up on the black and pink pins. This one was tricky too. There was a lot of good data to sort through. The link for her shared Dropbox folder is in that links column of the spreadsheet if you want to bore in and look at all the pictures she took of all her data. But I think what eventually settled on to confirm, she did think it was straight. It was tough. I think it was a close call yesterday. I think only 8 hours of data for the sundial on the ground, and it was kind of hard to tell with the big rocks. But today, when she sent me this data, she sounded like she was more confident that she was seeing a straight line today. I mean, it was really close, and it's just I don't know. It's just really hard to tell. But I did end up, she told me she had close to 11 hours of data for the wall sundial. So I went into her Dropbox folder and I found her wall sundial and pull that up. I think this is her first mark of the day. So this board is like vertical, not horizontal on the ground, and that's fine in case you didn't know that. As long as this recording surface is flat, it will work the same way as a board on the ground. It can't be wavy. It can't have unevenness, bumps, curvature. Like, this recording surface has to be flat, and as long as it's flat, it doesn't matter what the orientation of this thing is, as you'll see. But this is her first mark of the day, so remember that there are these two globs here, and then there's that mark. Um, and then I guess this is her last mark of the day. You can see she's got this cord and it's kind of hanging, and the shadow runs out right in here. So somewhere right in there is, I guess, her last mark of the day. But if you look, I mean, she thought it was straight, but I wonder if she might have forgot that this was her first point of the day, and this string, or maybe it slipped down or something. But I dropped a line from her last point of the day to her first point of the day, and it definitely looks like these midday marks uh, have jumped the line. So this one was tricky because I just took her report and I was like, oh man, it sounded like she got, her and Wendy almost at first sounded like they got straight lines 2 days in a row, which made me think um, some thoughts about the Creators International Dateline. But I think it's pretty clear that they saw a flipped curve today. But it still was pretty close. I mean, even with Wendy's data, I would expect with 10 hours of data it to be much more prominent that the curve was flipped. So, I mean, just as my food for thought, like if well, I might as well talk about it real quick. So the thing is, depending on where the Creators International Dateline is, it could be anywhere. This is somewhere in here is where it almost seemed like it might have been this spring, but who knows? That could be wrong. But if the Creators International Dateline, let's just say it is right around here, there is like, if you live directly to the east or the west of the Creators International Dateline, there's actually an overlap zone where I have theorized, and I know others, truth seekers, have thought about this possibility too. But if you live right where the international dateline landed, I think there's the potential you could end up seeing two straight lines back to back. I'll explain that in a minute. But if you don't see two straight lines back to back, it might be very close to straight 2 days in a row if you're really close to the Creators International dateline. I kind of, I could be wrong, but I kind of sense that's why it was so hard. Like looking at Wendy's data, I'm surprised with 10 hours of data we didn't see more of a pop in that data. But anyway, so what happens is, say there's a person who lives right here, right in this zone, and they're seeing the straight line first. Well, when they see the straight line, and like, so let's just say these people here aren't seeing the straight line, the people to the east. It's only the people right here, let's say up here in northern Africa, this zone between these two green lines, that's seen the straight line first. It just didn't start this far east. So it started out here to the west. So they start to see it. Well, the sun is starting to cut that straight path for them when the sun is rising from this position. So the sun has to be out here somewhere when it starts cutting that straight path, and then it has to go all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, all the way around, uh, and then this person who lived here, once the sun gets like here is, or like out here, they're finally starting to see like their sunrise for the straight line, and then the straight line will continue for them until sunset, like out here. If that makes sense. Oh, okay, it goes around for everyone on Earth, yeah. So I mean, uh, I have a better diagram of this somewhere, but I mean, there's something about it. Like the person who lives here, if they're right around the international date line, like they actually, there's a sunrise that they have to see the straight line when the sun is out here to the east. But then when the sun finally goes around, whatever, around, and it comes back and it's given this person the straight line, well, then they have to wait for the sun to set all the way out here to get their full day of straight line. So like from here to here is like this weird overlap zone, and it seems possible people might see the straight line 2 days in a row, or something that looks very close to a straight line 2 days in a row. So that's just my food for thought. Could be totally wrong, but I was surprised not to see Wendy's data, because it was really good data, and I was surprised not to see it pop more. But one more interesting note to end on was the data I was able to collect in West Virginia today. And I was clouded out, but I tried the taking pictures of the sun again. And this is 2 hours of data, which is kind of seems like a almost like a cheat, but um, and this is not gospel. This needs refining, and but it's food for thought. And if someone takes the time to be very careful with the way they mount their camera and do all of this, uh, it could be kind of interesting. So let me show you. I was able to get um, three shots of the sun. Let me actually look at the spreadsheet here. Three shots of the sun today. And so if you notice, this midday mark is below the line. But if you look at my data from yesterday, the sun was above the line. So it seems like it's kind of cool, but it seems possibly like this is another good witness, or something to chew on or consider. Um, but it's kind of amazing. It's almost like the armillary, where I guess you kind of look at the closest. Um, like this was almost touching that line, but if you look, which one? If you look at this one, maybe it's a little beyond or whatever. But I mean, it flipped, so it's either one or the other. I think it tells you a good ballpark, like, but you would want to, like I said, you want to make sure you do your due diligence and make sure you set up a mount that doesn't move, and even things like fisheye lenses in your camera. I don't know if that makes that could make a distortion in the curvature, like maybe it was straight this day, but because I had a fisheye lens, it was distorting it a little bit, that kind of thing. I don't know. I was kind of thinking that earlier today and just saying, oh, the heck with it. I'm just going to see what happens just for the fun of it. But this was interesting to see that, and I wasn't expecting it, but to see the sun actually flip to the opposite side of this, that potentially the fisheye lens might not mess with that. Like that's quite a flip. It's not like if I take pictures again tomorrow or next week, I'm sure we're only going to see this distance grow. Where if I put a line between these two, I'm going to see the sun getting more and more. Maybe I don't know. But yeah, the cool thing about it was this was only 2 hours of data. So like we're out there collecting data all day to try and get that straight line. But if you just turn around and look right at the sun, and like I'm sure the ancients might have had a way to use like megalithic structures or their sundials or whatever to kind of get the position of the sun in the heavens as well as shadows on the ground. But yeah, it only took 2 hours of data to show me that the sun is crossing that line instead of a full day. So that was kind of interesting. And this is a picture from this is the 23rd. Okay, so this picture. I just pulled it out. So I pulled it out to remind me to overlay it in here, just to see. So here's that picture. So if you want to compare from one day to the next what that jump looked like, that's approximately how much it moved. And this time of year around the equinox, I noticed this years ago when I did this, like the sun is moving the most. Like it looks like it could have almost shifted. Like, and keep in mind, when the shift of the pattern happens, it's not going up or down. It just happens to be the sun happens to be like directly below this one just because I took it like 2 or 3 minutes sooner or something. But when you watch the sun pattern shift its track across the sky, it's this entire pattern you're going to be seeing shifting up and down, not just like one straight point going down like that. Like if I took another picture like 2 minutes later, it would be like on directly on the opposite side of this line. But my point was, it moves the most this time of year around an equinox. It seems to move almost like an entire ball diameter. It's very clear to see the movement. So when I map out the celestial equator and Orion's belt, and I'm trying to compare to the background of the stars, like that movement is substantial. So when I see where Orion's belt is cutting through the sky here, I'm going to be able to see like this day was much closer to the celestial equator than that day, kind of thing. But once you get closer to a solstice event, when the pattern is like way up here in the summer or way down here in the winter, it gets very tight. Like the movement is very tight. And that's why if you try and track a solstice event with like the table method on the ground, it just doesn't work well because that shifting of the entire shadow pattern from one day to the next, it is not a full diameter. It's like very, very small. I could dig up some of my old videos about that, but I did notice that. So I guess that's it. I will, like I said, this spreadsheet is available. It's in that, if you click the link for the Dropbox folder, you should see it right in the main directory. I don't know if I'm going to do any more updates for this Equinox event unless I get some kind of game changer data come in at the last minute. Then I might post an update. But other than that, I think that might be it for now. As we get closer to the March Equinox, I'll start rallying the troops and start putting out some more thoughts about where we might expect to see the Creators International Dateline. I'd like to think that it's tracking according to all the data we've been collecting over all these years, but anything's possible. And of course, I'm human too. I make mistakes. But, you know, I've done my best to try and give you all the contact information for everybody. If you want to take a closer look at the data, you should. and get in touch with anybody. And if there's anybody's contact information not shown here that you really want to get in touch with, I can try and find a way to get in touch with them. Just let me know. So until next time, shalom, and may Abba bless you as you continually seek his truths in love with pure hearts.